Micheal Pope.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the virtual neighborhood of Life is a Sacred Journey. My name is Micheal Pope, and I am your host for this time every Friday, 8 a.m. here at Life is a Sacred Journey. We are a platform that is working to bring new information to caregivers. We have the opportunity of working with folks that are authors of books around the United States and the world on caregiving and health and aging. We have a lot of guests to talk about ageism in America and throughout the world that actually hurts, I guess, creates problems within the aging system in which we all live. And so Life is a Sacred Journey has been around for a minute. We started as a audio podcast that's what I believe they both go together. I don't know. But we started on Blog Talk Radio about a decade ago. And then over the pandemic, we decided to come to this visual platform. And I just thank you all so much for showing up every week and hitting that share button. That's really important. Let me tell you why. We are not a platform that asks for money or anything like that, but the more likes we get, the more shares we get, the more views we get. There's a monetization formula that is used by social media, and I'm not a real big, okay, you have to be careful with social media, right? Because harm is being done to people through social media. But we believe that our platform is one that informs, lifts up, and tries to meet people where they are. So when you do all those things, you help us to monetize our platform. And those funds come to Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay. So it's a win-win. You're making a subliminal donation to our organization, and we thank you. So let's get into today's topic. This is Pondering number 53. What we do if you're new to the platform, in between having guests that come either to talk about their books or to share. I mean, I think that's more important, that these folks have shared what they've written about, but also shared how they got to the place where they were writing. And it's just been an incredible journey. On my way to work, to the office here this morning, there is so much traffic out there. I mean, the traffic is crazy. It's crazy. But the thing that I noticed, because I'm a ponderer, so I notice a lot of things, is that nobody was being patient. I even saw 3 cars drove up on the side of the, where you're supposed to pull over when you're having a breakdown or when the fire department needs to get around you. There were 3 people that used that lane because the traffic was backed up. There was really no reason for it. A lot of fog here in the Bay Area this morning. But I just didn't understand how. I understand. I was in a rush because I wanted to get here and we wanted to start on time. We try to do that. I think in our whole history, it's only been 2-3 times that we haven't, for technical difficulties and things of that nature. But really, so patience. I just want to say, people, patience is an amazing thing. I've had to learn it myself in my life. Patience is one of those virtues that is hard to practice, but when it gets you to the point where you might endanger your life and the life of others by driving up on the side of the road because you're already late and you're gonna be late because the traffic was bad from one end to the other, you have to take a deep breath and pray that the other people on the other side that are waiting for you will give you grace. And then if they don't, then there's nothing you can do about it because the traffic did hold you up. That's just as simple as that. And I think we need to stop hurrying around that way and thinking that that's the way to do it, because it's really causing us to create harm to ourselves. When you get that flustered that you have to do that, the stress levels, and we're finding that stress and how we manage it has a lot to do with how we age and how we Alzheimer's. So, it was just mind-boggling to me. I actually laughed because I thought, where do you think you're going? Oh my goodness. So drive carefully out there, friends, and know that you want to get to wherever you're going alive and not stressed out and not have a panic attack or a heart attack or even die yourself on the way because you might get so upset you have a stroke. Calm down. It's okay. You'll get there. And if you're late and people don't understand, then just chalk it up to experience and chalk it up to this is the world that we've created for ourselves, where we can't forgive people when we know what it's like out here to travel on the mean streets and byways of the US of A. All right. I want to talk about caregiving today because I this week have had the opportunity to speak to a couple of our caregivers here at Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay. And I know that there are caregivers out there. There's a lot of caregivers out there that are trying to figure out what is it about? What do I do? What do I look for? What are the steps that I should take when I become a caregiver? So I was looking up and there's a lot of new information that I even learned about caregiving, but I did write some things down and then I remember some of the other stuff. So the stuff that the statistical stuff I wrote down. So there are 38 million individuals in the US of A, and if we added the whole world, that number would grow, that are family caregivers. They're caring for an adult or a child at home or being caregiver responsible for making the decisions for a child or an adult at home. They give, now check this out. This is what made me flawed me. 36 billion hours of care. 36 billion hours of care. I didn't have time to do the math on it because I was going to kind of do the math on it and tell you more specifically, like down to the day, what that meant if you divided it into the 38 million. So if you guys have time to do that and put it in the chat while I continue this. So it's 38 million family caregivers, and those 38 million family caregivers have given 36 billion hours. So if somebody would do the math and put it in the chat, that would be great. But that's a lot of hours per day, right? Within a 24-hour period. The other thing is that many of those individuals are caring for somebody that is experiencing some form of cognitive decline. So it's either dementia, they have an overarching diagnosis of dementia where they're experiencing memory decline or cognitive, now somebody said to me the other day that their doctor called it a cognitive slip. So that's usually in the early stages where the individual is able to manage their lives and get through things, but then they're forgetting little things here and there. And they're usually things that have to do with the activities of daily living, paying the bills, showing up on time for an appointment, those kinds of things. And we're going into that season where families who have not lived together, they come together for the holiday season and they begin to see things in their loved one that they may not have seen last year or they could not identify over the phone. When they're doing FaceTime, sometimes you can't see those things because you're not physically in the space with the individual, seeing how they're navigating their life, seeing how they're navigating their memory and their conversation with you, because you can blame it on all kinds of things with technology, but face to face, it kind of shows up in a different way. The other aspect of the caregiving that I want to share with you, I'm looking at my notes, is that caregiving is very, very stressful. It is stressful to the point where family members begin to get sick themselves. Their health care goes by the wayside. They spend more time focusing in on their loved one, and rightfully so, but then their health. The number one thing that I found is it's dental care. Because dental care, once you start doing it, as I recently have, this was the year that I was gonna have teeth pulled, have implants and do all that. Well, it's a series. It's going to take an entire year for all the work that I need to get done to be done. Well, you think about that. I had to fit that into all the other things that I'm doing, but I am no longer responsible for the welfare of another individual in the home. And so I was able to plan that in a very different way than I would have over a decade ago. So when you're caregiving, and you're a working caregiver, you have the working schedule, you have the schedule of your family, you have the schedule of the person you're caring for, and then you have all of those tentacle schedules that make up what a life is all about: going to the doctor, going to the dentist, finding time for a vacation, finding time for taking care, self-care, finding time just to do nothing. All those things make up the time frame and make up the hours and minutes of our lives. And when we're caregiving, it is really difficult to be able to do that. So what are some of the things that we can do to become a caregiver that has a little bit more balance in their lives? I love the picture of the rocks that are the balancing rocks. And I always think of life that way, is if we can balance all of our rocks, right, on top of each other and create a wonderful figurine of our existence, then it's much easier to get through things. It doesn't mean that we're going to have a difficulty is going to now go by. We're not going to come back. It doesn't mean that, but it means you have the tools that will help you to get through those difficult times in a way that your life is enhanced just a little bit, and that you can get through this journey called caregiving. So one of the things that the first things, every book, everything that I saw, and I've told you this before, breathe. You have to sometimes stop and breathe. I had to, this recently in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been going through a lot, as I've told you, a lot of grief that has now created this accordion of grief. So everything came back to me. Alpha's death, my brother's death. I even went so far back as my mom and my dad, and the death of good friends. My friend Deb that died from cancer over 2 decades ago now. It just started coming in, just waving in. The loss of a great friendship where there's a person in my life that I thought I had a good relationship with, and now that relationship is no longer. They've decided to leave the relationship, and I don't know why, and that I'm grieving the loss of it. So all of these things are happening in my life, and I know they happen in everybody's life on a day-to-day basis. But then there's joy. I have my granddaughter that is alive and well, and I'm watching her, she and her mom and her dad grow into this loving, caring family. And it's just an amazing thing to watch, including the dog, all of them together. So that's joyful. But it doesn't mean ASAP, some great folks that we're hiring and that are coming and bringing their time and their talent and skill here so that we can transition into the new ASAP, whatever that's going to be after our 35th anniversary celebration in November. And then transitioning for me as I, begin the winter season of my journey here to move out, but not before helping ASAP move into a different paradigm. So those are the kinds of things that in your life, you have to move and shift and ebb and flow: career, family, health issues, the world, just things happening in the world that affect your emotions. But when you're caregiving, you're not only doing that as a singular individual, you're doing it for the other individual as well. And if they have Alzheimer's, you're really doing it because you have to be the eyes, the ears, and the decision maker for every aspect of that person's life. And so breathing is the first place to start. I'm a journaler. I love to journal. So for me, I would add journal, adding, and I say gratitude journal. And why do I say that? Research has shown if you can sit down and think of the things that you're grateful for every single day, and it doesn't have to be a long laundry list of things. Maybe it's one thing on that particular day that happened that made your heart soar and you felt gratitude for. Write it down. Write it down. Be grateful for that one thing. And some people say look for 6. Some people say look for 8. Some people say look for 2. Whatever it is for you on that day. Every day we're grateful for different things and sometimes the same things. But if you write it down, you're going to feel much better about it. This is my favorite tool, not for work so much, not for work, because I have found if you use small Post-it notes, they sometimes separate from the paper. But I love this size Post-it note with the lines on it. Why? Because I like to write in the lines. That's that definitely 50s, 60s training. These Post-it notes are great for keeping track of things that you need to get done, and you can post them on your front door, you can post them on your desktop, you can post them on your mirror. But this is also a great tool just to write down something really wonderful to yourself. And I'm going to do that right now. And I don't know if I have a pen, the right kind of pen, but I hope I do. Let me do this right. You are great. You are great. All of you out there, you are great. I'm trying to get it right in the light. But if I take this off of here and I put this on my front door, and this is what I see every day that I leave my front door, even in those moments, I'm talking to myself, I'm lifting myself up. I'm reminding myself that I have the energy to make it through this day. And so do those things. A lot of people will say, oh, they're naysayers, and they say, oh, don't do that. Those things don't work. That's all bah humbug, right? And it may be. What do you have to lose, friends? What do you have to lose to do something joyful, to do something happy? What do you have to lose? I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. And if there is something to lose from it, then write that in the chat, because I'd like to know. And maybe I'm not thinking of this from the right perspective, and I can always learn, we can always learn. But what do you have to lose when you bask in 1 minute of joy? Just 1 minute of joy. 1 minute of telling yourself that you are great. Is there something wrong with that? Have we changed the world so much that we forget that the ego is a tool for us to use instead of having the ego use us? I heard that somewhere. It's not unique to me. But I loved it, because it's like, yes, that's it. Our ego puts us in situations where we behave in certain ways that the ego is totally in power. But when you flip it and you become the power over your own personal ego, then you're using it to your benefit. Oh my gosh, how wonderful is that? So breathe, caregivers, breathe, 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 and take 1 minute. There is always 1 minute in the day to sit down and write something that you're grateful about, whether it be someone who called you on the phone and said, I'll come over and help, or maybe it's that your loved one has fallen asleep after being up and having insomnia or wandering in nocturnal wandering at night. Be grateful that they fell asleep so that you have a moment to yourself. We got to flip the script on the naysayers who have taught us to start from the negative place, and we need to start from the positive. And once we're on the positive choo-choo train, it seems that we begin to turn everything into a positive. And again, to all of you who are going to say, Micheal, that's crazy. Yeah, you blah, blah, blah. Yes, I cry. We all cry. We all get upset. We all have moments where life is overwhelming. But don't stay there. That's all I'm saying. Don't stay there. There's help out there for you and me and all of us. And there are people who have been there who will walk with you. So we started off, caregivers, by giving you some statistics. Now we said breathe, and now we said find a place to be grateful. If you are a caregiver and your loved one is experiencing behaviors from Alzheimer's and dementia, then reach out. Go online. AARP has a great website. I find it really informative, and they double check their facts, and you can count on them. I'm also an AARP member, and I think that's a great thing too. The discounts that you get are fabuloso. The other is the Alzheimer's Association. They are an amazing nationwide organization that you can get involved with through support groups and other sort of activities of education. Then in every community throughout the United States, and sometimes maybe not every, I shouldn't say that because that's not true, because a lot of them have closed, but through a lot of communities throughout the United States, there are adult day healthcare, adult daycare programs. Those are respite programs that if you are Medi-Cal or Medicaid or have Medicare, and wherever, because California's Medi-Cal, Medicare, Medicaid, all of that, but you get to your area agency on aging, okay? Due to the Older Americans Act, the Area Agency on Aging is in every local city throughout the United States. Some are more robust in the services that they provide, but they all have resource information. And sometimes they even have gone so far, like here in Alameda, we have a wonderful commission of volunteers, community leaders that come together to work with the Area Agency on Aging. And they also have administer a program called IHSS, that's In-Home Support Services, IHSS. If you go to the Area Agency on Aging website, you can find it there, or even if you just go to the Google, that little Google wonderful little search place and put in IHSS, they can help you find a caregiver to come into your home to help with some of the care of your loved one. That could be priceless. It might even only be an hour a week. But an hour a week that you can do something else, sit and do a pedicure or manicure, go outside and breathe, do something different, is an hour that will help you as a caregiver get through the journey. So IHSS, AAA, it's easy. You can put in AAA or area. I think they're all called that, Area Agency on Aging, and in every community, and find resources there. The other is finding out what your eligibility is for any secondary or other primary insurances that you have. Get those policies out, look at them, and really discern what is in there that might translate as a long-term care benefit. I recently pulled out my insurance that I have as a supplement to what I have here at work. And I realized that it has better benefits in some ways for long-term stuff than the insurance that I have at work. So how do I marry them together to create a long-term insurance plan, excuse me, that will cover some of the costs that might come up or will come up as I age in place? So looking at all of those things, and I say take a day to pull out all those boxes, find that data, find that information, and then sit down with a piece of paper, because I'm not a computer person when it comes to these. I like to write and pull things from someplace and write. If it's for the computer's better for you and you want to do it on an Excel sheet, go ahead and do that. But then write down what you have. Okay, it pays for this. Oh, all right. If I had to go to the hospital, this is going to pay for this many days, and then this is going to kick in. Oh, I have a deductible. How much money do I need to have in the bank to cover that deductible? Should I? So it's just like planning for retirement or anything else. Putting that money aside, so when it happens, you say, uh-oh, I don't have to do anything else. It's there, it's available. I'm not quite there yet. You know, my emergency fund, which includes a day in the hospital, prescriptions that I might have to purchase, home care that I might have to bring in extra that my insurance will not cover. I have the cost for all of those things, and I'm slowly but surely putting that savings away so that long term, when I need those things, I'm not running around worrying, can I afford them? How do I access them? And how do they fit into the other plan of the other things that I have, okay? Long-term care is one of those things that many primary insurances have dropped from their menu of service, and they did that because it's costly, okay? So you need to sit back and again, somebody told me the other day, a financial person told me, well, you're doomed because I don't have the level of savings had I worked in a corporate environment, had I not become a single parent, had I not. Rearview mirror stuff. Living in the here and now, I'm trying to figure out what can I do to get ready for the day that I'm not working full time. I think that I will always do something. I feel that in my spirit, that I'm not the kind of person that I need it. I think it's like it fuels my life, it gives me purpose, and I need a reason to be here, right? I need a reason to be here. And so I think that I will be that kind of individual that will move into a second or third career before I move into my my forever life. And so those are the kinds of things that I'm planning and thinking about, so they don't just pop up on me and surprise me. Now, health is a whole nother thing, and caregiving is a whole nother thing. Those things sometimes pop up on us, and we become caregivers when we least expect it. The sandwich generation, that's a term that we still use, where a person is in their 40s, 30s, 40s, and they're caregiving. And that was the other fact that I learned that is becoming more of a reality. The caregivers are getting younger. They're in their 30s now. They're in their 40s. When I first came to ASAP, all of the caregivers were, well, not all, but about 80% of them were older individuals, as well as they were spousal. And now, because we've opened up the understanding that people have chosen family members, that makes the caregiving field a lot bigger. And people are caregiving for individuals that they are best friends of, that they grew up down the street from. I mean, it is a cornucopia of different levels of caregiving, but they're getting younger. And so the sandwich generation terminology is something you're going to probably hear more of, because they're 35, 45, between 35 and 45 are usually the ages that people are also parenting a person under high school age at home. So those are the things that we're learning about caregiving. The other thing that we're learning about caregiving is that the caregiving experience is happening later in the life of individuals. What do I mean? That Alzheimer's and dementia and stroke and all of those things, we're healthier. We're healthier. The last of the baby boomers, which are in their 60s, are healthier than the baby boomers of a decade ago. You know, we started exercising and doing it as a regime of health. We became vegetarians. There are more vegetarians living in the world now than there were 2 decades ago. That kind of thing. There's less, what do I want to say? People are living in a better balance. Pandemic and other things down the road in the last, again, a decade has put us in a situation where we're trying to find balance, and we're taking more vacations and staycations. And that's a term that we never heard of before, the staycation. that, people are saying you don't have to get anywhere and travel, you just don't have to go to work. And you stay home and you turn your home into a place where you can rest, relax, and close off. I think social media has added a level of stress for us all because we have so much data coming at us and comparison data that we compare ourselves to other individuals and their lifestyles and how they're going through and doing things. And you can't always do that because it's not always applicable to you. Every person here at Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay, they and their loved one, caregiver, and person experiencing the form of dementia are doing it from a different perspective. And so we all need to look at it from that we all have different ways of dealing with crisis. We all have different ways of dealing with other people's emotions. And so caregiving is hard, and you have to find ways to relax and to do other things. Oh, okay. So what it was, I wanted to look for the number of family caregivers, and it was 15.7 million family caregivers who are just caring for somebody with Alzheimer's. So that's a lot. And that's why this new vaccine that they're testing, or this new medication that they're testing and people are able to get is so key to the future of those who have not yet been diagnosed. And hopefully we will change the way we look at it and maybe start testing early for people to see if there's a baseline. Maybe, I don't know, should the baseline be at 50 or where it should be? I don't know the answer to that, but should we start looking at cognitive health earlier in life so that we can really help people get through this time and really start early planning if memory is going to be an issue. The other statistic, friends, that I wanted to tell you is that we began to understand that the numbers are going to soar in the right now. And it looks like 2035 is the year that we're going to see everything kind of between now and 2035. We're going to see an implosion of, we've been calling it the tsunami, the aging tsunami, but the care needs. And we do not have enough assisted livings that are affordable to people who are, low income, or moderate income, or middle income. And I say middle income a little begrudgingly because I don't know if there is a middle income anymore, because the cost of living has skyrocketed, and a lot of people who were once doing okay aren't doing okay. So we need to look at all of those things, the tax write-offs. We need to start support groups. So I want to send this out to the, faith-based communities. Partner with individuals in the community. There's resources around the Alzheimer's Association here in Alameda County. You have ASEB, you have CEI and others, but it's really good to partner and start a support group for your congregation members so that they don't have to go out of the faith-based system to get the support and help that they need. Also, if you are looking for a support group, there is Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay has an online support group. It meets the first Monday of every month. If you go to our website, you'll see the Zoom link. If you want to participate, please call us and let us know that you will be, we're going to actually make it so that you do have to RSVP that you'll be joining us, because it is a private group, so you have to be let in to the group. So give us a call. It's 510-644-8292, and just give the name to Blanche at the front desk and let her know that you will be attending what we call the support group that we hold the first Monday of each month, and even on the holiday. So we know Monday is a Labor Day, but we will still be holding it. And it starts at 8 o'clock, I believe, something like that. No, 7, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we facilitate conversation between caregivers about certain issues. Sometimes we have a training about a certain issue. We have guest speakers. It's a wonderful community, so join us if you can. The other thing that I want to bring up, time flies, is I realized the other day that we have a resource among us. I have a resource in my life that I had forgotten all about. And my daughter is the executive assistant to the executive director for the California Coalition for Youth. And they do a tremendous work with foster children, emancipated youth, and just youth that are living sometimes on their own in our communities. And there is a California youth crisis line, and they have 24/7 crisis counseling. It is anonymous, it's safe, it's confidential. They will connect you to services, and it's for youth and their families. So if you and your family need help, or you need help as a youth, the number is 1-800-843-5200. You can call that number, text that number, or chat that number. California Youth Crisis Line, 1-800-843-5200. If you are youth or family members out there that have youth and you are in crisis, whatever that means for you, don't do it alone, get help. And this help is free. They will connect you to the services and work with you 24/7, crisis counseling, anonymous, safe, confidential. 1-800-843-5200. There's help out there. Don't do it alone. And then if you're someone out there that is experiencing a little bit of depression, anxiety, rejection, and you feel that, you know what, the world would be better off without me, my family and friends would be better off without me, and you think that suicide is the only option that you have, 988. 988. In full transparency, as I said to you and have said over the last couple of weeks, or the weeks that we've had Ponderings, in this last month, I have experienced a suicide of someone very, very close to me. And while we all knew that there was something going on, that there was depression, that there was anxiety, none of us could have imagined the magnitude of the pain that this individual was experiencing moment to moment, second to second, that would bring them to the place that they wouldn't call one of us and take their life. So we're all pondering that right now. I've had to back away from a few things in my life at this moment because I'm pondering what I didn't see. As somebody now who has been trained in suicide counseling and all of that, what didn't I see? Why was I blinded by the relationship so that I wanted the person still to be all right? That's why it's so important that folks talk to other people and not just family members who can be a discerning ear, eye, and verbalize some things that family want you to get better. And I wanted this person to get better. And I was praying them better when they needed more than that. So if you're out there, life is a sacred journey, loves you. We care about you, but we know it's not enough. We know that you need safe, confidential counseling and support and help through this time. Please pick up the phone. Please take your phone. Please do what you have to do, 988. But stay alive. Please, please stay alive. All right, friends. It's Labor Day weekend. It's going to be a long weekend, and it's one of those weekends where we want to take the day off and think about and honor the hours of time that we put into labor in this United States of America and all of us throughout the world who are laborers that make it possible for us to have food on our table, to have the refrigerator delivered, to hook up your stove, to do all the things, all those people that are laborers. I guess I wouldn't even consider myself a laborer. To me, a laborer is somebody who I work hard, but I don't work hard like that and then get paid sometimes pay rates that don't show their value. So to all the essential workers out there who got us through the pandemic, thank you. To all the laborers that are out there that, move our garbage away from our homes and that we make, thank you. To all those individuals that build our buildings and make the bricks and the mortar to build our buildings, thank you. To all the people that help us to educate our children in the right way, teachers who have loved children, teachers who have opened up the world in such a way that it's a wondrous thing to be in a classroom as a child. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. McCurran, for being one of those teachers for my children. Thank you. Thank you to everyone out there that has contributed to the life of another human being in a way that even if you don't know them and they don't know you. Thank you. So go out into this weekend and don't be impatient because something isn't happening and somebody can't give you the service that you need and expect right away. Be gracious. Be kind. And know that we're all in this world together, and if you crash too much into me, I am going to break. So we do the best we can. Have a great weekend, and as we always close here on Life is a Sacred Journey, go out and pet a cat, pet a dog, hug a tree, hug yourself, and be the love and be the light that this world needs. Because guess what? When you do that, it bounces back on you and you do feel a lot better and your world does become a little better. All right, folks, have a wonderful weekend and thank you for joining Life is a Sacred Journey. Come back next week and please share, view, and write in the comments. Peace.